pretty on camera.
Bugger that for a joke. I hate all that love stuff. Don't get me started on love. Okay, hello. Hello, Shauna Teakin here. Welcome to What Would It Take? And today I'm talking to the lovely Anne Aleckson, and we're talking about being a voice channel because Anne is one of the very few voice channels in Australia. What is a voice channel? Anne, tell us about being a voice channel.
Well, what I do, Shauna, is I actually call myself a direct voice channel because there is a difference. There are a lot of people that channel, a lot of different ways that you can channel, but a direct voice channel is actually someone who will allow the voice of energy to come through rather than use their own voice. So the guys that I work with come through and use my voice box
Yes.
to speak their words, of course using the knowledge that I have and the wordings that I have.
Now we're talking about beings without bodies here, aren't we?
We are, yes.
When
we
we
are
talk
talking
about
about
the boys,
non-physical beings.
at the present moment, that do not have bodies,
Do not have bodies.
and yet have this not yet have this incredible level of awareness that's useful to us.
Absolutely. It is higher consciousness. In my understanding, it's higher consciousness that I'm connecting into that is available for everybody. I'm just one of the lucky few at this point in time, but you know, things are changing. It's going to be a much bigger party very soon.
Do you think that or in your experience, does it take a different level of vibration for you to be able to hold that? Is it a discipline that you've had to follow for a long while to get you to that point?
Absolutely, it's a discipline. I wouldn't say I've had to follow it for a long while. It's more a case of, well, look, I'll tell you how I came to do this. At some point, very dissatisfied with my life, I decided that there had to be something more, as so many people do. And so I then read a quote that said, "You can choose to be happy." And I kind of went,
Novel concept.
I can choose to be happy. Really? How do I do that? So I decided that I was going to find out exactly how to do that. And so I read lots of books about finding happiness. I read lots of information about how I could go about finding some happiness in my life. Started to do the things that these books were recommending, the things like going and acting like a child at the park, so, you know, going on the swings, getting down to child level,
Yes.
and playing with my children. You know, all sorts of things, cheap things and expensive things, but just I decided that if I was going to choose to be happy, I'd go and find out how to do that. So I did that, and while I did that, my vibration started to raise, the energy around me started to rise, because anybody who knows Abraham Hicks or David Hawkins, they both work with scales of consciousness or emotional guidance systems. And joy and happiness are very, very high on those scales and show up very highly when they're tested. So I then, after I found out happiness, I started to read about the levels of consciousness and realised that if you can get to joy, your vibration gets really, really high. And you can then start to connect with the inner part of yourself or your soul or your God self, whatever you want to call it. And, and be able to make that connection. So definitely you do need to do work on raising your vibration. It's not hard. And the reason that I say that it didn't take long is because it actually just takes a moment when you reach that point of, I've been doing all of this work, all of a sudden you just realise that you feel really good, life's looking good, regardless of whether you've got the things that you've wanted or whether you don't.
Yes.
And start to realise that it doesn't matter whether you've got those things. It's about how you feel inside.
Yes.
And then in that instant you can reach the vibration in order to connect with those levels of consciousness that we're talking about.
It's like a really small leap over a very big chasm, isn't it?
It is. It is.
And I know that from all of the people that I've worked with, even the concept of joy is hard. If I've said to people, what brings you joy in your life? And it's almost as if I'd spoken a word in a foreign language. Joy. I guess I was joyous the day I was married or the day my child was born. So it's as if it's an isolated, tiny part of someone's life instead of being an everyday, 24/7 state of being.
Yes, absolutely. And I have a little tool that I offer to people called a joygasm. And
are you going to offer us that today, Anne?
you can have a joygasm anytime you want.
Fire away.
What that does is, I get them to focus on one of those times that you're talking about, because yes, you're right, that's the only way that we can recognise it when we first start doing this work. Because it's not a common thing. We don't dwell in those feelings. We dwell in the lower levels of negativity and guilt and all of those negative types of things. But through my work with Seth and these beings that I work with, I'm now starting to realise that I've brought myself up to the higher levels of that in order to be able to see that that's where the world is going, and everyone will be doing this as well.
Can we talk to Seth, I guess, is my next question.
Indeed. It's, most people, when they talk about channeling and all of those sorts of things, they're not used to someone who's a conscious channel. I'm a very conscious channel. In the past it's been people like Edgar Casey who lay down flat on a bed and put himself out of the way in order for these guys to come through. And while I always call them guys, let me assure you, they're not masculine. It's not about that. Guys is just an easy word to use to describe them. Years and years ago, that was the way we did things, and even there are still people who are doing that now because they don't yet realise that they don't need to do it at that level anymore.
Absolutely.
You don't need to completely go away. Once you raise your vibration, you get into a place of constant joy and a place where you are connected with your higher self, or even blended with your higher self or with your soul. So you're living from a non-ego position most of the time. Then you can learn very quickly to just push the ego to the side a little and allow something else to come through, but still be here. I'm here all the time.
Yes.
I hear what's said. Sometimes I don't know word for word what's said, but I have an understanding of what's been said, so I'm always here as well. So it's very, very simple and easy for me to come in and out, and I do it quite often. I think it's a lot of fun because people kind of go, that's really unusual.
Yes.
But my mission here really is to show everybody that this is going to be a normal part of living.
There's another aspect to that whole process that occurs to me, is that the old way used to be, many of the old psychics and mediums often burned out their bodies. They often had chronic ill health. I can think of many, many people like that. The new way seems to be that it actually enlivens and rejuvenates the body, because it's more of a connection with the all that is, rather than a giving over of yourself to some other consciousness.
Absolutely. That's what I've come to understand, is that perhaps years ago we all thought that it was something that we were destined to do and we had to do, because if it could happen to us, then it was our responsibility to share it with everybody and completely get out of the way. What I've come to understand, and what I'm being told all the time, is that in actual fact, myself as this human being that I am, I'm in charge of this situation.
Yes.
It's up to me to decide what part of this I want to be responsible for bringing to the world. Myself, I've jumped right in there. I really want to do this in a big way and help people to realise that it's normal. For those people who, and there are many, many of them, lots of young people who are already connecting with this. They're using it in their creativity, in their work, to do great things, or just to do normal things.
Yes.
It's just a part of them. So that's the difference, I think, is that we don't need to make a big hairy deal about it. That's an expression that the guys like to use a lot. We don't have to make a big hairy deal about it, because it's not a weird carnival sideshow kind of thing anymore.
And it's also not a guru disciple thing anymore, is it? I think the day of the guru is long gone. Well and truly.
When I first made this connection, the strong thing that they really made me understand was that they are here to serve us, to help us to move to the next level of humanity. And the next level of humanity is as us blended with them.
Yes.
No taking over anybody's body, nothing like that.
So what would it take for us to be comfortable with that, be joyous with that process, and allow it to happen, because it's an allowance, isn't it? There's not a striving or a struggle.
It's exactly right. It's an allowance. And when I first started to do this, I mean, I knew for many, many years that this was going to be my path. Very much felt it here for a long, long time, but I could never just allow it to come through. And luckily I was working with a whole other group of channels in the United States who were encouraging me and helping me, and I was writing and doing all of these things and talking in my head to these guys, but I hadn't yet allowed them to come through my voice. I was having all sorts of troubles with my voice at the time because, you know, they wanted to touch me, I wanted to connect with them, and I just was, my head was just holding it back. And so one of the other channels said to me, describe what it feels like. So I just was saying, well, it feels very benevolent. I just feel like I'm flooded with love as they come through and start to connect with me. And the other channel suggested to me a name that she had picked up on, and within that moment, ripples of, I can only call it ecstasy or joy, ripples of my joygasm.
Yes.
That's where that word comes from for me. Ripples of that just were up and down my body, and words came out.
So it was a connection, a recognition, a melding.
Very much a recognition. Yes.
Yeah, like a coming home almost.
In fact, that's what I call it. And I feel like I came home, and I always touch this part of myself as I do that, because this is where our soul resides and this is where home is.
And really, this is just the beginning. This isn't the end goal, is it?
Oh, absolutely.
This is the beginning.
Not.
Have this connection, have this meld. Then what else is possible? Where else can it take us all? Because I find that life at the moment is very exciting.
Oh, incredibly.
It's expanding incredibly. It's not, the world is not actually contracting as it would appear. It might appear, looking in, that the
and
opportunities
to
are contracting.
also the majority of humanity at the moment, yes, they're seeing that shrinking and that contracting. You know, when we get to a time, and the time will come when it's the majority that are seeing the expansion, that is when the world will change.
Something that just occurred to me also is that there may be many people who are teetering on the brink of taking the steps that you're talking about, of connecting with a greater possibility, but that there is so much about, I'm not good enough, self-esteem, I haven't worked hard enough, I haven't I have to let go of more stuff. And really, none of that matters.
It matters while it matters.
Yes, and
the
it
minute doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
The world opens up, and
Yes.
it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But in reality,
Yeah.
there are so many people who are still in that place where it matters.
Yes.
We are very much here in order to change that energy within humanity. It's been generations and generations and lifetimes, and it is time for that to change, and we've been working towards that for a number of decades, but we're getting very, very close to that point where you've got to jump over those levels of low self-esteem, those lower levels on the scales that we were talking about before, in order for us to move forward into what I can only describe what I've seen as heaven on earth.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're talking to Aleckson, who is going to allow Seth to come through her now, and we are going to have a conversation and see where that takes us. So, can you just give us a little heads up on what's going to happen?
Absolutely. It's not scary. My head's not going to spin around. What is going to happen is I'm going to switch off my complete consciousness, switch off a little part of it in order to connect with that higher level of consciousness where the guys come from.
Yes.
And, you know, I could go right into it right now if you wanted me to. It's just quite often I'll be in a conversation with someone and I will start to feel their words and their use of my voice box happening. So it's a matter of fine-tuning everything. So we are here, of course.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
We are here to serve you, of course, and we are very excited to be involved in this production that you are doing, because you asked this one before, what would it take? And we so wanted to answer that question. What it would take is many beings like yourselves coming together and talking about these things in order for it to become what you would consider to be normal. A normal thing to do. All of you coming together and having these conversations, and people who are maybe thinking there's something more will come together with you, and the world will change.
I suspect there is something in the conversational aspect of this, where it's an easy process. It's almost like a group of friends sitting around talking that lifts the vibration and allows something else to go on.
Indeed, this is correct, because we were talking before about, you see, we are here all the time. We know what you have been talking about. We were talking about the raising of the vibration, and in any gathering, when you come together to discuss and talk about joy and love and connection with higher self, the collective vibration will be risen, of course.
Yes.
You can all feel this, and the world is feeling this coming together, and they are getting ready to come and watch when this is presented to them. And in doing that, everybody's vibration is raising.
So is it in the talking about a thing that you connect to the energy of it? I noticed when Anne was talking about what it felt for her when you first came through strongly, that she was in that joyous space just by remembering and talking about what the space was like. So it's almost like you have to have an anchor or some way of connecting to it in order for it to happen.
It is but a thought. This is what we are telling you all the time. It is just a thought that makes all the difference. And if you think of joy, and in that moment of thinking of it, you can feel it at the same time, then you are raising your vibration.
It occurs to me that joy, just as you said, that joy is more than in your heart. It's almost like you have to invite joy into your toes, into every part.
We like that, yes.
Into every part of your body, but every part of your being. Because we think we are just a body, but actually it's every pore of your being you invite joy in, isn't it?
It is. But again, we want to make it really, really simple and just say to you, it is a matter of thinking. The word carries the vibration as well. And with the new energies that is coming in at this time and affecting each and every one of you, you will be releasing the feelings that are lower than the ones the way you are feeling guilty about everything you have ever done. These things are ready to leave now, and the more that you can think joy and feel that in every part of your body, the more the guilt can no longer come into your being.
Okay. So I call that being a tragic prawn of the universe, or tragic pawn of the universe, but prawn is so much funnier. But it's very easy to do that, isn't it? Do tragic prawn of the universe. Oh, me, oh my, things are
and we think it's really important for everybody to understand. It's always been really easy to do that, but it's really easy to change your mind and do it for joy instead. Yes.
Okay, as easy it is to do this, it's just as easy to choose.
It is.
Okay.
And it is a choice, as you say. It's as easy to choose. You can choose this or you can choose this. You've all been choosing this for too long, and now it's time to choose this.
I don't think we even knew that we had a choice, that it was a choice before. I think for the last few thousand years, it's been about one day I will get there by my good works and by striving and being a better person.
Indeed, and it is all perfect, of course. It was not ready to happen until this time that we are coming into. There is a process of being in the lower energies before you can move up to the higher energies. But the time has come now to do this.
Can I ask you about, as one increases in awareness, it doesn't necessarily mean that you feel things less. My experience is that I feel things more deeply and more intensely, even sadness in a way can be a joy. I don't mean that in a I want to be sad and dark all the time, but there's a sweetness.
Indeed.
And more than that there is, when things are going on with the earth, you can have an awareness of that, which is quite intense too.
The thing that you are speaking of is, of course, as you awaken and start to realize that, yes, you are this separate body, but you are also connected to us, to all that is, to higher consciousness. And what that means to you is that you are connected with everybody, because if you are sitting here in this body and you are also connected to your higher self, and this one is sitting here in this body and connected with us, which is the higher self and more things. You are becoming one, you see. And she often says that she could not reach out and pinch you because it would hurt herself. So we think this is what you are talking about. Yes, you can still feel all of those feelings, but you can make the choice to stop wallowing around in them, and instead feel them and then move on to something that feels better. We think this is a very good thing. What would feel better? And then go and find this thing that will feel better. Why would you want to sit around wallowing in the thing that does not feel good?
Yes.
We understand why it has happened up to this point, but it is a time now to make the different choice.
So thank you for that. And could you speak a little bit about, can I ask you about the world changes going on? My feeling is that you can't be separate from the earth and the planet anymore.
There are still those who think they can, of course, but we are realizing what you are saying. We are coming into a time where everybody is going to be connecting, as we tell you, with a higher self. And in doing that, we will all come to understand that we are all one. And when this happens, then yes, of course, we are also all connected one with the earth. The thing to say is that it is all energy. We are energy. You know, you ask this one to describe what we are, and really the only explanation she can give is that we are energy. You are energy as well. You have just come forward in this form. We have come forward to be this human in this form. But it is the energy all around, and we are all connected. You could go like this, and that is energy too. It is all around you all the time. And the world that you live on is also energy.
So what would it take for us to be able to explore changing this? I may have chosen it, but wouldn't it be fun to change it, shapeshift it in an instant?
And indeed you can, of course.
Yes.
You will have noticed that when this one is sitting here as herself, there is a certain look about her. And then, of course, when we come in and she is coming from the higher self, you can see the changes. And that is because her ego about looking pretty and wanting to make sure that everybody looks at the right side of her face. These things do no longer matter when we are here, and so you will see whatever you are seeing, but it is a little different than when she is sitting here without us. We say without us, but of course we are always with her, but when we are not coming through, yes, it is a different look. So what would it take for you to do this?
Absolutely, I'm working on it. Don't worry. I'm working on all those magical abilities, which is about time and space, I guess. There is really no time and space. Indeed. And am I bound by this physical body? No. It's correct. A very exciting time to be on the planet.
Indeed it is. Anything is possible, really.
And that is the purpose behind what would it take. What would it take for people to get that you can change anything? Absolutely.
Yes. And we think the most important part of the question, what would it take, is the way that we would answer it, which is all it will take is for each and every one of you to start talking about what you are feeling. Every one of you is feeling your connection to something higher. You are noticing things are happening. And you're keeping it all to yourself because you don't want to look any stranger than the person next to you. But we want to tell you, you are all strange together. It is just a new way of being that is coming through. This is all. Embrace it and realize that it is who you really are, and allow everyone else to see this. And by you doing this, they will feel comfortable to tell you that, that's happening to me as well. And you will all start to understand that it is happening to everybody.
And so what would it take for us to be completely comfortable being weird, different and strange to other people? And who gives a flying rip what they think?
Indeed. And this is the thing, of course, when you connect with your higher self and you push your ego out of the way, that is all it will take, of course.
I had someone ask me, the chick at Woolworths yesterday was having a little chat to me, and I'd explained that I'd been doing filming all day and I had my makeup on, and she said, "Are you someone famous that I should know?"
And you said, "I am indeed, of course."
I went, but isn't that a funny thing to say? Are you famous and someone I should know?
Indeed,
it's like,
because
why are we all not?
it is, of course, the guru thing that we were talking of before.
Yeah.
You have come through a time where there is always someone who knows something better than you, and you are coming into a time where you are all you need, because when you connect with your higher self, and we have said this and we continue to say this, you connect with your higher self, you connect with higher intelligence, and you can know anything that you want to know.
So
anything at all, including how you can change this shape.
Yes, and that's quite remarkable to me, that perception is out there, that who you are is what you are and what you'll always be. But you could be 10 different things in one day. You could be
and
100.
you are,
absolutely,
of course, absolutely.
Yeah. Which is
from moment to moment, you are something different.
Perhaps that's a problem with relationships, because you promise to be and love and honour who you think that person is. You've actually married or hooked up with someone who's 100 different people. It's very hard
and
to
we
promise.
think this is, of course, one of the funniest things that you have all chosen to do. Of course, because when you connect with yourself and you start to love yourself in every disguise that you choose, you will be loving everybody else, of course. And if the person that you are with is also connected in that moment to the higher self, you are looking at them and you are seeing yourself as pure love, and they are looking at you and seeing pure love reflected in your eyes to them. It is perfect, it is ecstasy, but it is just a moment. But you make such a big hurry deal of it, and you decide, I have to be with this person forever.
Yes.
And they have to do this and do this and do this and do this, otherwise I will stop to see them as the love that I remember them to be. And then, of course, it all goes to hell in the handbasket.
Yes. And they flash you that gorgeous personality, just that instant of magnificence, and then it's gone, because most people are not living their lives out of that.
Yes, but we want to say to you, it is not about the other people. If you are in your higher self, and if you are in love with the self, you are only seeing in their eyes the reflection of yourself, loving yourself. And so the moment that you decide that you are not good enough, that's what you see in their eyes. It is not something they have done. It is you have forgotten who you really are.
So I get what you're saying. So I'm looking for that flash of that gorgeousness in them, but it's actually the reflection.
It is.
Yes.
That's right. Yes.
Wow.
You are seeing the reflection of who you really are, and when you are connected with who you really are, you can recognize that. And in the next moment, when you see them do something, and then you say, I'm going to make a decision that I'm not good enough. And then you look at them again and you see in their eyes that you're not good enough, and you think they are telling you that, but you are telling yourself that.
Okay, I didn't get that distinction before, and that's, I think, why we ask someone to promise to be there and promise to be that instead of making the promise to us.
Indeed, it is self,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
If you make that promise to yourself, you could stay married forever, regardless of whether he is doing all the
Yeah.
things that you want him to do.
Yeah, but how boring would that be?
Indeed, absolutely.
Why would you want to? So is there something that you would like to get across in this opportunity or this possibility? Have you said it already? Is there something that I'm not asking
Very
you?
much. We think that this forum is the best place for us to really make it clear to you that you are good enough. You really, really are good enough, and it is time to stop pretending that you are not yet good enough. You are good enough for us to come and serve you. And we bow down before you because you are good enough. And we really, really want you to understand this and to start to walk on to the path that you are here to do. It is in here that when you come forth, the plan, the thing that you want to do with this world, the change that you want to become, it is placed in here. And we want to say to you, here is the key right here. We want you to take it and unlock this plan and start to walk on this path. It is now time to do this.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Ah,
Because I think they said what they wanted to say.
I think that wrapped it up very neatly. Did you get the energy of that yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
That was brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't thank me. It
Okay.
was co-creation.
Absolutely.